Hey, what is up guys, and welcome back to the channel. Today's video, I just kind of want to talk about the Tomahawk X and if really Polyphony should go ahead and patch it in the next update. Now, just a heads up, if my voice does sound kind of weird, it's because I've got a bit of a sore throat at the minute. So yeah, I might sound a little bit different, but hopefully that'll pick up soon. So let's go ahead and really talk about what this car is, where it came from, a bit of history on it, and if Polyphony can really risk getting rid of this car from the game yet again. So the 600PP Tomahawk that we have in the game currently, for those of you who might not know, is not the first time we've actually seen it. It did originally appear in, I believe, I want to say about April, possibly May time. And it did stick around for around about maybe a month to a month and a half. They did try and patch it out, Polyphony did, I believe a couple of times, and it did keep coming back in different forms. I believe there was sort of 3 different forms of this car that I managed to run, all basically running the racing hard tyres. You could even get inters on it. You could then, swap over to the racing compound, and it was very, very quick, to the point where people were able to run it in around about 15 minutes, meaning that you could make 800k 4 times over within an hour. So you've got to think back then, that was an insane amount of money, especially after just recently come out of the point where Gran Turismo was at a low point. They sort of nerfed all the credits, then they kind of put these bigger events in, and then all of a sudden people are exploiting it in ways Polyphony didn't think they would. So people were earning upwards of like 3 million per hour. So essentially back then the glitch was very much overpowered, and I guess rightfully so. It was kind of patched out, as much as that's kind of, for me, the peak of GT7's kind of cash grinding methods. It was a little bit to the point where it was insane. However, it did take a lot of skill to get around that 15-minute mark. It took running it multiple times before you could really just nail down a run and know exactly how to run it. So like I said, it is what it is. We had the very overpowered version, it gets patched out and it disappears. Then a few more glitch builds come around. So the original of the 3 that was the Alpine, that was around for a very long time. Pretty much a lot of people's go-to, because it was still possible to run under 2-minute laps. It was very good on fuel, pretty decent on handling once you kind of got over those first couple of laps and survived your way around. Then we had the Lancia Delta engine swap, which was found by someone, also a very good glitch build, shouldn't have really been eligible. And then we had obviously the Corvette ZR1, which is again very much like the Tomahawk. Sadly it's not quite on that level because you don't get that insane grip around the corners, but still very much a bullet in a straight line. Those cars took the reign for a good couple of months since the Tomahawk disappeared, and then all of a sudden they are patched out as well. So they needed reconfiguring. We got those fixed for update 1.20. So those 3 kind of led the way for at least around about a week or so after update 1.20 came out, and then all of a sudden a new version of a car we never thought we'd see again did get released, and everybody was pretty much over the moon. Now don't get me wrong, the 600 Tomahawk is very divisive. A lot of people either love it or hate it. A lot of people just hate it for the fact that it's so quick, and it's usually the people that can't get to grips with it that hate it for what it is, because it makes too much easy money, it's cheating, this, that and the other. Now I wouldn't necessarily say it's cheating. You're essentially just taking over, well, I guess you're kind of taking advantage of the PP system in this game, which has never been very good, hence why there's always been glitch builds, and I think there always will be. I never think Polyphony will get on top. I think they'll kind of patch cars for a while, and then all of a sudden we'll find new ways to kind of glitch them out. I mean, the fact that the Tomahawk all of a sudden has been able to make a reappearance after such a long time kind of proves that, like, they can try and get rid of cars, but they will eventually end up coming back. So anyway, yeah, the new build comes along, and a lot of people are over the moon. People are like, finally, the Tomahawk's back. It's not as good as it used to be. The fact that you have to run it on the comfort tyres just kind of makes it less enjoyable. It's very kind of twitchy. It's a lot more mistake prone. You know, even with a million bunch of penalties, it's still the fastest method. You can get around about 20 minutes again, which is kind of like what the original 600PP Tomahawk, when it first did show, was setting. That was kind of sort of the benchmark. Then 15 minutes kind of took over as people got more and more confident. This one, however, is very much limited. It's not as quick. You can't set the same lap times, so it's just not as strong of a build. And that kind of makes me think, you know, a lot of people flooded back to this game and said, look, I've not touched Gran Turismo since, you know, for months now, because the money grind's just ridiculous. So I want to kind of jump on it and, you know, go and make as much money as I can and try and earn some of those cars that I kind of left behind when I moved away from the game. And that's the thing. These kind of cars, these kind of builds, especially the 600 Tomahawk, really does bring a lot of players back to the game. And at the moment, we're in a very prosperous time in terms of Gran Turismo 7, you know, grinding. You've got the Lancia Delta engine swap with the GTR engine in it. You've got the Corvette, you've got the Alpine running again, and you've also got the 600 Tomahawk. So there's 4 very, very strong, overpowered, glitchy builds that essentially allow us to make decent money in a fairly, you know, respectable time. And I feel like the kind of 600 Tomahawk coming back was such good timing, because update 1.20 for many people was very much a low point in Gran Turismo. It was very much a very weak update, and people were kind of just on a downer, saying like, look, this is one of the most boring updates ever, there's not enough content, you know. And then all of a sudden, a week later, the Tomahawk appears and people are kind of flooding back. So I feel like Gran Turismo 7 was very much on borrowed time. I feel like a lot of people are starting to run out of that patience. Even the people that sort of was die hard about it, saying, you look, Polyphony will get on top of it, this, that and the other, they've probably either moved on or were thinking of moving on and getting a bit fed up that the fact that we're so kind of far into its life cycle, and it feels like there's still a massive lack of it, and, you know, the drip fed content's not the best thing in the world. So I do feel like, you know, the fact that one car can bring so many people back to the game and kind of boost up the interest in Gran Turismo 7 again was only a good thing for Polyphony. If they think about it, they've got more people back on the game. There's a chance that more people are going to kind of stick around, and, you know, you could have had people that have left since the Tomahawk went, and then they kind of go ahead and do all the new events that have come in since, try and get all the new cars, and it just keeps people playing. And I think that's what Polyphony really needs at the minute. In my opinion, Polyphony should not try and fully patch out the 600 Tomahawk. You should just leave it as it is. It's not the overpowered machine it once was. Yes, it's still overpowered, but then you're always going to have at least one overpowered car for any event. You know, why not leave those cars in so people have got choices to make money? You know, I get all this microtransaction thing, but when you've, you know, lost a bunch of players over time, and then all of a sudden they come back because of one car and one build, then in my opinion, you should really kind of keep this in the game. You know, it's going to keep bringing players flooding back. You know, the fact that the money is not as hard to come by, you know, it's definitely a car that I just 100% agree that it just should not be removed. It should just be left alone. It's not as good. It takes a lot of kind of skill and getting used to even get near those times. Even if you know, if you go into it without the confidence, you can guarantee you're going to run probably 22 to 25 minutes, you know, with penalties added on. You know, it's got a huge learning curve to even get towards a 20-minute barrier for more average players. You know, there'll be some people that'll just jump in and absolutely smash it. You know, you can guarantee there's always a few, but, you know, for the general audience, it's not really as overpowered as it used to be. It takes a lot of skill, a lot of getting used to, but it does pay well once that kind of, you know, playing around with it, you know, kind of kicks in. So I really believe that Polyphony should just stay away from the Tomahawk. Don't touch it, allow it to run. You know, these people that get salty over it and say, well, you should ban it, you know, it's hacking, it's cheating. It's not. At the end of the day, you're taking advantage of something that, you know, Polyphony have done with the game. You know, that's their performance point system. People were going to abuse it anyway. People always have, you know, even way back when you'd abuse, you know, the tuning to try and get the most overpowered car into each event, even on, you know, the PlayStation 1 era. So it's always kind of been that way for Gran Turismo 7, and it's what keeps it interesting. You know, I always look forward to what's the next crazy, weird build that's going to make a ton of money really quick, and it keeps me playing, and you know, keeps me wanting to come back to the game. And I feel like that's the way Polyphony really needs to kind of look at the game at this point. Look, the drip fed content's not a great idea. However, you know, if we keep a overpowered car in the game and let people make decent money, then maybe we'll kind of retain a player base. I'm doubtful that they'll actually look at it like that, but I do hope that Polyphony kind of just see the amount of players that returned when this glitch came back, and instead of just going against it, just go with it. So this is going to be the end of the video. I just kind of wanted to discuss this car in general and basically just give it the praise that it deserves, because it has brought a lot of people back. You know, a lot of fresh faces may go ahead and, you know, jump in the game now because money is easier to come by. So I just kind of wanted to just discuss the car and, you know, just say to Polyphony, like, look, you know, you can allow us to make money. You know, don't be afraid of it, especially if it keeps your player base alive in a game that for many has just been quite disappointing. So I just want to give a big shout out to my channel members. You know, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe to them. There's notifications on for GT7 content on the daily. I know I haven't been as kind of active with my uploads lately, and that's mostly because I'm, you know, not great. I'm a little bit sick at the minute, but it is what it is. So yeah, sorry if my voice does great on you this video, but I can't help it. So I'll see you later, guys. Take care. Peace.